Beacon Ahead Institute, we use a lot of woodworking machines that are made from hand tools and plywood, and we want to show some of these affordable machines to you. We'll start with the most useful woodworking tool, the table saw. Table saws are great for making accurate cuts in wood. This saw is easy to build out of simple parts, and it is much less expensive than table saws that you can buy. And it's very accurate and quick compared to sawing with a handheld circular saw. We start with a handheld circular saw like this one. We attach the saw upside down to the underside of a table, or we can hold the saw in a plywood frame on hinges with a height adjustment and tightening knob, so that the table saw can be raised and lowered. The next thing that we add is a fence, which is a straight board that is parallel to the saw blade. When the wood is pushed along one side of the fence, it is cut at a very consistent width. Board after board can be cut at exactly the same width, which can be really useful in woodworking. We like to use push sticks to move the wood so that our hands stay safely far away from the saw blade. When we get halfway through the board, we move the side push stick onto the other side of the board so that we don't pinch the saw blade as we finish cutting the wood. The next thing we do is put a groove in the top of the table to guide a sled for cutting boards shorter. For cutting many boards to the same length, we clamp a wooden stop to the fence on the back of the sled. Each board to be cut is rested against the fence and the stop and cut on the saw. Each board will be cut precisely to the same length. The next useful tool is the track saw. We use the track saw to cut large plywood sheets into smaller pieces that we can cut on the table saw. The track saw helps to make long cuts really straight and easy. The track saw has two components. One is a carriage that holds a circular saw. There's a groove in this side of the carriage that runs along the other component, which is an 8-foot long plywood track. We drill a few holes in the bottom plate of the saw and attach the saw to the bottom of the carriage. When we clamp the track to a piece of plywood, the saw cuts a perfectly straight line along the edge of the track. Lastly, the finger jointer is a machine for notching the ends of boards so that they can be joined together to make boxes and drawers and many other things. Finger joints are great because with a little glue they make very strong joints, and you don't need to buy any hardware such as nails, screws, dowels, or brackets. We start with a router attached upside down to the bottom of a piece of plywood. The cutting end of the router bit extends through the plywood base and cuts the ends of the boards. The boards are clamped to a carriage which is guided by a ball-bearing drawer slide. Once the first notch is cut all the way through all the boards, we move the board sideways and start cutting the next notch. We hope you found this video informative.